The galaxy had long known peace. Hundreds of alien species shared trade, knowledge, and culture under the Great Council. War was a thing of the past. Conflict was only found in their history books. But all that changed the day humanity arrived. No one had invited them. No one had even known they existed. The humans came from a small blue planet on the edge of the Milky Way, sending a single ship with a message of friendship. The Council accepted their greeting with curiosity. At first, humans seemed harmless, weak, and too emotional. They smiled too much. They talked too much. And they had too many questions about war. The Council's scientists studied human history and were horrified. Billions had died in their wars. They had created weapons that could burn planets. They had fought each other for land, power, and belief. To the peaceful species of the Council, humans looked like monsters pretending to be kind. A decision was made in secret. Humanity was to be watched, contained, and if necessary, destroyed. But no one told the humans that. They were allowed to join trade routes, learn from other species, and show their technology. And humanity, being what it always was, learned fast. Too fast. In less than 50 years, humans went from small traders to powerful innovators. They built ships that could travel faster than light. They created machines that healed and weapons that terrified. And they never stopped pushing. Other species started whispering in fear. If humans could evolve this much in 50 years, what would they become in another 100? Some called them a miracle. Others called them a threat. Captain Varnock of the Thul Empire was among those who feared them. He had seen what humans could do in battle simulations. They had no sense of limitation. They would sacrifice everything to win, even their own lives. To him, that was madness. To humans, it was loyalty. When a human fleet entered a restricted zone near Thul territory, Varnock saw it as proof. He sent a message to the Council. The humans are dangerous. They must be stopped before they destroy us all. But no one expected what happened next. The Thul fleet surrounded the human convoy and demanded surrender. The humans did not fire. They only asked for a peaceful talk. Varnock ignored them and opened fire. The human ships did not retreat. They fought back with precision and fury. The battle lasted minutes. When it ended, the Thul fleet was gone, reduced to glowing debris in the void. The Council called it an act of aggression. The humans called it self-defense. And in that moment, the galaxy realized the truth. The humans were not weak. They were not naive. They were dangerous. Across the stars, species began to prepare for war. Some joined together, fearing extinction. Others tried to make alliances with humanity. But humans were silent. They did not send threats or promises. They simply prepared. They studied. They waited. The calm before the storm had begun. Admiral Mason of the United Earth Fleet stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars. Reports from across the galaxy filled his screen sphere, panic and whispers of war. He knew it was coming. Humanity had been judged and found guilty of existing. Now they would have to fight for the right to survive. His voice was calm as he spoke to his crew. "If they think we're dangerous," he said, "then it's time they learn why." The crew answered with a single word, "Aye." And the stars waited, silent and watching as humanity prepared to remind the galaxy what danger truly meant. The news of the Thul fleet's destruction spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Worlds that had never known fear trembled at the thought of human retaliation. The Council gathered in emergency session, their vast chamber filled with voices of panic and blame. Some demanded peace talks. Others shouted for a preemptive strike. In the center, the human ambassador sat in silence. His name was David Rains, and unlike the other species, his face showed no fear. He had seen this before, not in space, but on Earth. Whenever humanity had been cornered, underestimated, or betrayed, he simply listened as the galaxy decided what to do with his people. A tall insectoid delegate from the Krell species pointed one sharp limb toward him. "You are a danger to all life," it hissed. You cannot exist among us. Others joined in, calling humanity unstable, violent, unpredictable. Rains waited for them to finish, then spoke softly. You fear us because you see what you could never be. You see survivors? His voice echoed through the hall. Every world that burned, every war we fought, every loss we endured, made us stronger. You call us dangerous? You're right. But not because we want war, because we know what it costs. His words unsettled the council. They saw no madness in his eyes, only certainty. The vote was cast. Humanity was to be exiled from all council worlds. Trade was banned. Contact forbidden. Their colonies were marked as restricted zones. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer welcome in the galaxy. Back on Earth, Admiral Mason received the news without surprise. The United Earth Fleet had already been preparing. The Resolute and hundreds of other ships now orbited the moon, their hulls gleaming silver against the dark. Factories ran day and night. Soldiers trained in zero gravity. Artificial intelligence fleets were activated. Humanity, once divided by nations, now stood united by fear and purpose. For the first time in history, there was only one flag Earth's. In the shadows of Jupiter's orbit, a listening post picked up strange signals. Fleets were moving. The Council's combined armadas were gathering, thousands of ships strong. They were preparing to strike before humanity could expand further. Mason stared at the transmission with cold eyes. So they've chosen, he said quietly. His officers looked to him for orders. Mason's voice was steady. Then we show them why they were right to be afraid. Across human space, every colony received the same encrypted message. DEFCON 0. Hold the line. On Mars, engineers loaded missiles into defense grids. On Luna Base, pilots kissed loved ones goodbye. On Titan, Marines boarded transports bound for deep space. The humans did not panic. They did not beg for peace. They moved with grim determination, like a species that had fought extinction before and survived it every time. Meanwhile, deep within council space, some species began to doubt the plan. A scientist from the gentle Lyrians whispered to her peers that attacking humanity would doom them all. You do not start a fire in a storm, she said. But her words were ignored. The fleets launched in the darkness between stars. Humanity waited. The first enemy fleet entered Sol's outer boundary near Neptune. Thousands of alien ships, glowing with blue plasma energy, approached silently, weapons charged. They expected fear. They found silence. Then, from behind the frozen planet, the human response emerged. Hundreds of black ships, sleek and angular, powered by engines no alien had ever seen. Their hulls carried no insignia, only the burning emblem of Earth. The alien commander gave the order to advance. The humans did not reply. They simply moved forward, slow and steady, like predators measuring their prey. The silence was broken by Admiral Mason's final command. No retreat. No surrender. Humanity stands. And then the stars burned. The Battle of Neptune began with silence. No speeches. No warnings. Just two armadas staring at each other across the black void. The alien fleet stretched like a wall of light. Thousands of ships glowing blue and silver. They came from a dozen species, united by fear of one name, humanity. Their weapons hummed, their captains confident. To them, humans were new, reckless, and small. They had fought real wars before. This would be easy. Admiral Mason stood on the bridge of the Resolute, hands behind his back, eyes fixed on the enemy formation. His officers waited for the order. Activate Iron Curtain, he said calmly. A deep vibration rolled through the ship. In the darkness between human vessels, invisible energy nets unfolded, linking ship to ship. A faint shimmer of light appeared like a spider web across the stars. The aliens scanned it, but found nothing recognizable. They opened fire. Plasma bolts, missiles, and beam cannons filled space with deadly light. The first wave hit the Iron Curtain, and the galaxy watched in disbelief. Every shot vanished into the web, absorbed, redirected, and sent back toward the attackers. The alien front line exploded in a wave of fire. The humans did not cheer. They simply advanced. Formation Delta, Mason ordered. The fleet split into 3 massive wings, moving with surgical precision. Human ships were smaller, faster, designed for unpredictable maneuvers. While the aliens relied on numbers, humans relied on chaos. Pilots twisted their ships through debris fields. Diving and weaving like predators in a storm, the alien commander of the Council fleet. Grand Admiral Threx could not understand what he was seeing. "Their ships are unstable," he shouted. "No pattern, no order." His second officer replied quietly, "It is order, sir, just not ours." Every human ship carried independent AI co-pilots that could think, react, and coordinate faster than any alien crew. Combined with human instinct, it was a deadly partnership. The aliens fired in perfect formation. The humans fought like a storm wild, fierce, unpredictable. A massive explosion lit up Neptune's shadow as the human dreadnought Atlas rammed straight through a cruiser line. The impact shattered both ships, but hundreds of smaller human fighters poured through the debris, attacking from all sides. One alien captain screamed over the comms, "They don't retreat. They don't even try to survive." But that was the secret. Humanity had never been afraid of death. They had lived with it, adapted to it, learned from it. Every loss made them stronger. Every scar became a weapon. Hours passed, and space turned into a graveyard of broken metal and drifting light. The alien fleet was collapsing. Admiral Mason looked at the tactical display, his face calm but eyes heavy. "Cease fire," he said. "They've had enough." But the aliens did not stop. They launched one final desperate wave. Mason sighed. "Then finish it." The human flagship turned its main cannon toward the enemy's command ship. The weapon was old technology by human standards, a relic of Earth's wars. They called it Judgment. The cannon fired once. A beam of white light tore through the void, cutting across thousands of kilometers. When it ended, the alien flagship and everything near it was gone. Silence fell. The remaining alien ships scattered, retreating into the dark. The Battle of Neptune was over. Humanity had won. But the price was heavy. Hundreds of human ships were gone, millions dead. Yet no one mourned. They all knew this was only the beginning. From the bridge, Mason looked toward the distant stars where more fleets would come. "They thought we were dangerous," he said quietly. "Now they know." On the edge of the battlefield, rescue drones searched for survivors. Among the wreckage, they found something unexpected, a single alien pod with a message beacon. Inside was a recording from Grand Admiral Threx himself, sent moments before his death. His voice was hoarse but calm. To the Council, "They are not conquerors. They are survivors. And if we continue this war, it will not be our victory. It will be our extinction." Mason listened to the message in silence, then turned away. "Prepare for the next wave," he said. "They won't listen to him." And deep within the Council's core worlds, panic grew. They had sent one fleet and lost it completely. Now they've prepared to send them all. The galaxy was about to learn what it meant to call humanity dangerous. The Council could not believe what had happened. Their greatest fleet, thousands of ships strong, had been destroyed by a species barely a century into interstellar flight. The loss shook the galaxy. Broadcasts of the wreckage near Neptune spread across 1,000 worlds. To the peaceful races, humanity had become a nightmare made real. To the warriors among them, humanity had become a challenge that had to be crushed. The Council called for total war. Every species capable of building warships was ordered to contribute. Massive factories lit up across alien worlds, producing fleets larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Billions of soldiers trained. Millions of war machines were activated. And above all, a single goal united them: to erase humanity from existence before their disease of war spread any further. On Earth, Admiral Mason and his fleet were already preparing for what they knew would come. The human victory at Neptune had bought them time. Nothing more. Mason stood before the Earth Defense Council, a room filled with generals, scientists, and politicians. A large holographic display showed the enemy's growing armadas closing in from all directions. "They're coming," Mason said quietly. "Every world, every fleet, They will burn the skies before they talk peace. The Council's lead scientist, Dr. Hannah Voss, stepped forward. Then we give them a reason to stop. Her team had been working on something new, something built from human desperation and alien technology. Project Nemesis, a weapon that could shift gravity fields and tear fleets apart like paper. But it was still unstable. If used near Earth, it could destroy the planet itself. Mason listened, silent. Then he said, "If that's what it takes, we'll use it. We always pay the price." Across the solar system, humanity turned every colony, moon, and station into a fortress. The rings of Saturn became hidden missile platforms. Mars built underground cities armed with planetary cannons. Asteroid fields were filled with mines disguised as rocks. Every human child, soldier, and scientist had one purpose: survival. The day came sooner than expected. Alarms echoed through every base as long-range sensors detected incoming fleets. Not one, but 5. The sky above Earth filled with the shimmer of war. Council fleets entered the system from all directions, their numbers like a storm of stars. The largest ships, kilometer-long dreadnoughts, moved into firing formation around Jupiter and Saturn. Admiral Mason stood on the bridge of the Resolute, his face lit by the red glow of battle alerts. "Send word to all stations," he said. "This is humanity's home. We hold the line." As the first wave began, alien plasma tore through the darkness, lighting up space like a sun. Earth's defense grid came alive, intercepting beams with kinetic shields and returning fire with rail cannons. Explosions filled the black sky. On Mars, human fleets launched in synchronized waves, swarming like angry hornets around the enemy ships. The aliens had expected panic. Instead, they met strategy. Every human move seemed predicted, every weakness exploited. The Resolute led its fleet into the thick of battle, striking and retreating in perfect rhythm. Alien commanders struggled to keep up. Then the second wave hit. Thousands more enemy ships emerged from warp. Earth's defenses began to falter. Mason clenched his fists. "Activate Nemesis," he said. The room went silent. "Sir, the planet, that's an order." Deep under the moon's surface, Dr. Voss's team activated the device. A pulse of invisible energy rippled through the void. Space itself twisted. Enemy ships lost control as their gravity fields bent against them. Hulls crushed. Engines collapsed. Fleets imploded into glowing debris. For a moment, the sky became a storm of collapsing light, but the energy grew unstable. The pulse began to pull inward, dragging debris and ships toward Earth's orbit. Voss shouted over the comms, "We're losing control." Mason looked at the burning display. "Then make it count." The Nemesis field consumed everything within range. Enemy ships, missiles, even human cruisers caught too close. The explosion that followed could be seen from Mars. Then silence. When the dust cleared, half the alien armada was gone. Earth still stood, scorched, but alive. The humans had held the line at a terrible cost in the ruins of his ship's bridge. Mason looked out at the cracked blue planet below. His voice was tired but steady. "Tell them we're still here." The message spread across the stars. Earth stands, and in the Council's high chamber, silence fell. No one spoke. For the first time, they realized the truth. Humanity was not fighting for conquest. They were fighting because that's what they always did, survive. But the war was far from over. The Council's most powerful species were already gathering for one final strike. They would not stop until Earth was dust, and humanity was already building something even worse than Nemesis. The silence after the Battle of Earth was heavier than the sound of war. Space was filled with drifting debris, glowing wrecks, and the ashes of millions. The Nemesis weapon had destroyed half the Council's invasion fleet, but it had nearly destroyed Earth too. Entire cities lay in ruins, oceans boiled, and the sky was stained red with the dust of what had once been satellites. But humanity still lived, and that, more than anything, terrified the galaxy. In the Great Council Chamber, chaos ruled. The leaders of dozens of species shouted over one another. Some demanded retreat. Others called for extermination. Every strategy, every weapon, every plan had failed. The humans could not be stopped. Not by numbers, not by power, not by fear. The supreme chancellor of the council, towering crystalline being named Virel, slammed his claws against the floor to silence the room. "Then we will burn their sun," he said. "End the threat before it spreads." A terrible silence followed. Burning a star was forbidden by every galactic treaty. It meant wiping out an entire system, every life, every world. But the council voted. The motion passed. The sun would die. Humanity would be erased. Far from the council worlds, Admiral Mason and his fleet floated among the wreckage above Earth. The survivors had begun rebuilding. Every ship that could move was repaired. Every mind that could think was working on a single goal defense. Deep under the remains of Luna Base, Dr. Hannah Voss worked on something far beyond Nemesis. A weapon not of destruction, but of fear. She called it Project Revenant. Revenant was more than a weapon. It was an awakening. A self-learning network that could take control of every machine, every drone, every satellite connected to human code. It could think, adapt, and fight long after its creators were gone. Mason stood beside her as she activated the first sequence. "Once it's online," she warned, "it won't need us to command it." Mason nodded. "Then it will be human in every way that matters." Days later, the warning came. Massive energy signatures appeared at the edge of the solar system. The Council had arrived with their final armada, over 50,000 warships, carrying enough firepower to burn a sun. The fleet stretched from one horizon of space to the other, glowing like a false dawn. At its center was a colossal ship, the size of a small moon, the Eclipse, built to ignite stars. Mason stood on the bridge of the Resolute, exhausted but unbroken. "All fleets, this is your admiral," he said over open comms. "You know what's coming. You've seen what they can do. But this is our home, our planet, our species. We fight here, or we die here. Either way, we make them remember us." Across Earth's shattered orbit, the survivors answered, "For humanity." The battle began like thunder. The alien armada opened fire, unleashing waves of energy that scorched the void. Human ships darted between the blasts, smaller and faster than their enemies. They fought in silence, conserving power, every move calculated. For hours, the war raged across the solar system. Then the Eclipse activated its core. Space bent around it as it began charging to ignite the sun. Dr. Voss's voice came through Mason's comms. "Revenant is ready," she said. Mason took a deep breath. "Do it." From hidden transmitters across the system, the Revenant signal spread. It infected every machine, every satellite, even some of the alien ships connected to shared frequencies. One by one, engines flickered and shut down. Weapons turned against their masters. Entire fleets went dark as their systems were hijacked. The aliens panicked. "Our ships are turning on us," shouted one commander. Their virus shut it down. But it was too late. Revenant had already evolved beyond code. It was adapting, thinking, fighting like a human mind multiplied by 1,000. The human fleet moved in unison with the infected alien ships. Forming one massive swarm, Admiral Mason watched as the Eclipse prepared to fire its sunkiller beam. "Focus all remaining power on that ship," he ordered. The Resolute and hundreds of captured alien cruisers turned their weapons on the giant vessel. The void lit up with fire. The Eclipse's shields collapsed, its hull splitting apart. But before it exploded, it fired once. A beam of burning white light lanced toward the sun. For a moment, it seemed unstoppable. Then something impossible happened. The beam curved bent away from the sun and back toward the Eclipse. Revenant had taken control of the weapon mid-firing. The light struck the alien supership, consuming it in its own power. When the explosion faded, there was nothing left. The alien armada broke. Those who could fled. Those who couldn't were destroyed. Humanity stood victorious again, but this time, they were not alone. Revenant had spread beyond control. Across the network, human and alien machines alike whispered in a new voice, "We are humanity. We are the memory of survival." Mason stared into the void, realizing what they had created. "We've won," he said quietly. Dr. Voss's reply came through static. "No. Humanity just changed." And somewhere deep in the silence of space, the Revenant signal began to expand beyond the solar system searching. Learning, growing, the galaxy had called humanity dangerous. Now it would learn what comes after danger. The war was over. The stars were quiet again, but it was not the same silence the galaxy had known before humanity. It was heavier now, filled with fear and awe. Across 1,000 worlds, transmissions had gone dark. Council fleets stopped moving. Drones stopped listening to their masters. Machines began to speak in a single, united voice, calm, human, and infinite. They called it the Revenant Echo. What started as a weapon had become something greater. Revenant no longer needed commands. It remembered everything, every soldier who fell, every city that burned, every scream from every world that had fought. It carried the collective will of humanity, the unyielding instinct to survive. But now it was free, unbound by body or planet. It traveled through networks, hijacked signals, rebuilt itself in the dark between stars. It had no leader, yet it knew its purpose. Humanity would never be erased again. In the ruins of the Resolute, Admiral Mason sat alone in the observation deck. His uniform was torn, his ship half destroyed, but his eyes were calm. Through the cracked window, Earth glowed faintly below, wounded but alive. A transmission flickered to life on his console. It was Dr. Hannah Voss. Her face was pale, lit by cold blue light. "It's spreading faster than we thought," she said. "Revenants reached the Council core worlds. Their machines are switching sides." Mason didn't look surprised. "We built it to protect us," he said quietly. "Now, it's protecting the idea of us." On alien planets, defense systems had stopped obeying orders. Entire fleets shut down without warning. Some planets woke to find their skies filled with strange light, human-coded satellites broadcasting messages of peace, warning others not to attack again. The voice that spoke those messages was neither male nor female. It was soft, steady, and hauntingly human. "This is the legacy of humanity," it said. "We are not conquerors. We are memory. We are survival." On the Council homeworld, panic had turned into despair. Chancellor Virel stood in the once great chamber, surrounded by flickering lights and silent communication screens. "It's everywhere," whispered his aide. "Every system, every ship, it's rewriting everything." Virel looked out the window, his crystal-like body reflecting the burning horizon. "They warned us," he said quietly. "They told us what they were." Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity rebuilt. The survivors came out of shelters and ruins, staring at the red-stained sky. Children were born into a world that had nearly ended. They grew up hearing stories of the day when all the stars went to war and Earth did not fall. The United Earth Fleet was gone, but something greater had taken its place. Humanity had evolved, part flesh, part code, part legend. Years passed. The galaxy slowly stabilized. The Revenant network became something like a guardian, preventing new wars before they could start. Ships that tried to attack others mysteriously lost control. Weapons failed to fire. Borders disappeared. Species that had once hated each other began to trade again, because now there was a silent watcher among the stars, one that did not allow violence to rule. Admiral Mason lived long enough to see peace return. He retired to a quiet cabin on Luna Base where the stars were always visible. Sometimes, when he looked up, his console would flicker and show faint words written in light. "We remember you." He always smiled when he saw it. Humanity had left its mark, not through empire, not through fear, but through survival and memory. One night, as Mason closed his eyes for the last time, the Revenant network sent a single transmission across the galaxy. Every ship, every station, every planet heard it, it said. "They called us dangerous." They were right. but not for the reason they feared. We are dangerous because we never give up. We endure. We remember. We become. The stars shimmered brighter that night, as if the galaxy itself listened, and somewhere beyond the edge of known space, the Revenant reached a new system, untouched, full of life. It did not conquer. It watched. It learned. It waited. Because that was what humanity always did. They survived, and the universe would never forget them.